Hello, in today's edition of Scouse Pop, we'll be joined by one of Liverpool's most loved guitarists, songwriters, authors, and all-round Renaissance man, the wonderful Mr. Brian Nash. Many remember Brian from the last truly great British pop sensation, Frankie Goes To Hollywood. The few extraordinary years as the biggest band in British pop represents a short time but an explosive time in his career. We're delighted to have Brian in the studio today to talk us through his career from Frankie Goes To Hollywood and beyond. We've got some live and exclusive performances and recollections of a life in music. Welcome, Brian Nash.
Nice to be here.
It's great. So, Brian, I'm going to take it right back to your early days in Liverpool. From Norris Green, you're educated at SFX, like a lot of other musicians that we've been talking about. And you decide to have a little go at something in music. Was that always something that you wanted to do, was a career in music? Or?
Well, I don't think people think about it as a career in music. Every kid in the world wants to be a pop star, don't they? Because, you know, when you're exposed to music and you first become fans of something, which, like for me, it was Slade. You know, Slade with the first, yeah, I want to be like him. I want to be like Ozzy Osbourne with that big hat with the mirrors on and great songs. And, you know, it's the Top of the Pops. It was the church, wasn't it? We all watched Top of the Pops every week. But a career in pop music, no, not at all. I think that with the advent of punk, it kind of leveled the playing field, and going to Eric's matinees when I was a kid was when I first had the realisation that, well, these guys here, look, there's just the three of them here, the Cure, they're brilliant, aren't they? But they're just like me and my mates, you know. Whereas before, pop stars had been people you've seen on Liverpool Empire, and they were a bit untouchable, or the people who you've seen on TV. And yet you go to Eric's and you just see these guys walking around, you know, and that made it real. But a career, I don't know. Never ever thought it would be a career at all, ever. So
you start out in bands. You start out, it was Dancing Girl, was that the first one you tried, and then Sons of Egypt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was, when we were, it was just something to do that was better than hanging around on street corners. You know, you got to remember, Liverpool back then, there wasn't a lot to do, was there? You know, it's not this fantastic place that we see today. You know, if anybody of our age, if we'd have said 30 years ago, mate, when you see what's going to be here, you'd have laughed them out of town, wouldn't you? And, you know, so being in a band and going into rehearsal rooms and learning to play was better than standing on street corners.
So with those first bands, I mean, they were quite rocky, quite percussive. What were you hoping to achieve? What type of musical direction were you going in with those?
I wanted to be the Edge. That was what, well, yeah, because a lot of because when you're learning to play, you want to be able to play stuff by other people. You know, this is my big bugbear with music in schools. You know, you're taught to play stuff by dead people. And when I say dead people, I'm not Jimi Hendrix and John Lennon. You know, it's people who've been dead 100 years. And being able to play stuff that you hear is a thing that fires you up, you know. And by that time, I was into like progressive rock and all that. There was no chance of me being able to play half the stuff that Steve Hackett played in Genesis or Steve Howe in Yes. But, you know, these punky guys, they were all about 4 chords and a load of attitude, and that was something I could do.
Well,
I'm still working on the attitude, like.
I was going to say a nice link.
And the chords. I'm dreaming of E minor.
I mean, linking to the attitude, again, you then joined Frankie Goes To Hollywood. I mean, you weren't in the first original lineup. It was just a few months later that lineup got sorted out, the ones that we know, the 5. How did that come about?
Well, we all rehearsed in the Bridewell, and all in different cells. And me, Ped, and Holly had been in a band together, and Ped left, and Holly stayed, and then Holly saw what Ped and Mark were doing, and he left to join them. So they were a trio, really. And they could do Mark and Ped were kind of basing their sound on bow wow wow. When you're saying about it being very percussive, it was driven from bass and drums, really, and the guitar was just a bit of a gravy on the top of that. So it wasn't really a big guitar band. And then Mark's brother joined, then he left, and I joined. So that's cutting a very long story short.
Yeah, because with certainly the Frankie's early stuff, again, it was quite unique. It was quite different from what was actually happening in Liverpool at the time. Your guitar on that was quite strange as well, because it wasn't a noticeable guitar sound. It was a series of different things. It was eclectic, which is different from a definitive sound. Yeah,
talent boosters. You know them boxes that you can buy. That's what it was. It's echo pedals. Yeah. I've been, and that's, you know, that's down to the edge. Ever since then, every day should be an echo fest.
Were the songs written, or were you actually in the process of writing the songs?
Most of the songs were written before I joined. Well, Relax and Two Tribes were written. I had the co-writing credits on most of the rest of it. But yeah, you know, I was in the Bridewell last night having a beer, and I was with a mate of mine. I was saying to him, the first time I heard Two Tribes, I was standing on these steps, and Mark and Ped were rehearsing outside, and Two Tribes was a bass riff and drums, and it was a summer's day, you know, 4 in the afternoon, and that was the first time I'd heard it. And I don't think with all the nice posh apartments around there now, I don't think you could be pitching up with a massive bass amp outside and giving it some welly. But no, the songs were written. Most of the first album, actually. I don't really recall writing songs to fit on the album. That might have happened, but it's a long time ago.
Well, we're going to listen to one of your songs now, because you're going into a song part now. This is one called Don't Go Yet.
Yeah.
What you sow, no sorrow. Will we ever get to know? I don't think so. I never got to see you go the last time. To the ones we loved and lost, till the next time. You're getting in over your head, and the sky outside your window ain't blue just yet. But just don't go yet. To the ones you left behind, where did you go? I bet it never crossed your mind. I wouldn't think so. You're getting in over your head. If you think that's gonna help you, then stay in bed. But just don't go yet. But just don't go yet. 'Cause we got some important things to talk, and you never got to tell me just how much you like that song I used to play. thought that you'd be better off dead. Were you thinking about your family and friends instead? But just don't go yet. 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 Don't go yet. Don't go yet. Don't go yet.
Welcome back to part 2 of Scouse Pop. Tonight we're joined by Brian Nash. Now Brian, long career in music. I'm going back to the Frankie Goes to Hollywood part for this section of the show. Band were quite notorious because of the way they played, they performed. In fact, I've got an interesting quote from Paul Morley. Because the actual makeup of the band was very different. And he said it was heterosexual Scouse energy and this very exploratory gay energy all mixed up in one place. It was a ridiculous formula and you couldn't have planned it. It was too toxic. Were you deliberately sort of dabbling with controversy when you started out?
No, as I told you, it's interesting for Paul Morley to say it was deliberately toxic, considering since that time he's claimed everything. No, it's all him, innit? Yeah, of course it was. No. The leather thing, whilst it had the gay connotations, I didn't really know about that. We were into Mad Max. Mad Max was and Mad Max 2 and the clobber they wore. So that's where the clobber comes from. It was only afterwards so that you kind of like realising what it was. But it's like it was dressing up, wasn't it? Really. And if Holly and Paul want to go out wearing a pair of leather knickers on stage, that's brilliant. But that was in Mad Max. It wasn't like that cruising thing, really. And we were only kids, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like 20 years old, you don't really know, do you? And, you know, two tribes, the two great warrior tribes go to wars, was lifted directly from Mad Max. You know, it's in the intro, it's in the narration at the intro. So that was the thing. So, but it was Mad Max on a budget, you know. And that's why it looked a bit ragged and a bit tatty.
I think the scandal and the controversy sort of, it followed the band. Again, another one from Paul Lester from The Guardian had written about, you know, the Scouse swagger. And he'd also said, Frankie are the most scandalous affront to decency since the Sex Pistols and the biggest band, Liverpudlian or otherwise, since the Beatles. Were you aware of this image that, you know, was being portrayed out there about you?
No, I wouldn't say aware of it. But, you know, if Frankie would have existed today, nobody would have batted an eyelid. You know, we've got to remember that. Even though it's in our lifetime, there's still pretty conservative times. You know, people didn't really want to come out as being gay. You know, Boy George, I'd rather have a cup of tea than sex. And you know, George Michael always had a lovely girl on his arm. You know, so it was seen as a bit detrimental to the career. But we weren't really playing any career games. You know, we're just out there having a laugh. We were like these I always see those early days of Frankie's as like that Mad Max thing. We're coming to invade, you know, we're coming to invade, and but we got guitars, and this is what we're going to bring you. And I'm very fortunate to have seen Frankie play. You know, like I seen the very first performance that Paul Rutherford did with them at Pickwick's, and I also seen them play at Jodie's. So I knew what it was, and even from me, this is something else, you know, this is something a bit different. And it's a bit, you could get the vibe in the room, whether people were fans of it, they were definitely curious enough to turn up and have a look and see what it was like.
Well, you're pushing the boundaries with it, and of course, was that successful in getting you the deal? Because, you know, we know about the Tube video, was quite notorious, the one done at the State. Do you think that, being so notorious, actually got you the deal?
No, to be honest, I think being that notorious put a load of people off.
Right.
Yeah. Our manager told us a great story about the very first video they did that I wasn't in, the Hope and Anchor video. It's like kind of famous among Frankie fans. Paul and Holly in leather knickers, Mark in the Lone Ranger mask. Ped, you can't see him, he's at the back. But they made this video for like £100, and the manager was taking it round to record companies, and people had heard about this video. And he said, when he'd turn up for a meeting, they go, oh, let's go to the video suite to watch it. And he said, like, him and the A&R guy had walked down the corridor. And then when they got to this video suite, there'd be about half a dozen people behind them. So we've heard about this. You know, we've heard about, oh, let's go and have a look at it. But the openly gay thing just put people right off. You know, the only reason we signed with Trevor, well, the only reason we signed the contract is because we got to work with Trevor on. The contract was appalling, but it was the only one on the table. And we'd had kind of like this momentum with the Tube, and we'd done a couple of gigs, and we'd had a couple of reviews in the NME or the Melody Maker, and labels were interested. And when this deal came on the table, it was like, the lawyer said it's rubbish, but you're arguing about percentages or nothing at the time. You know, if with hindsight you're going, yeah, we're going to go and sell about 10 million singles in the next few years. You'd have bargained for a better deal, but you didn't, and it was the only deal on the table. So Trevor Horn was the carrot, because we didn't really think. Well, it's just my opinion anyway. I think if we'd have gone back to Liverpool and we'd have lost a bit of that momentum that we'd gained, I don't think the band would have survived it, really. I think it'd have been like, we've had to go and we didn't get anywhere, and let's just sack it off and go and do something else. Because that's what you know, that's the way bands were at that time. You know, I can't stand them anymore, I'm going to go and join these. So it was kind of like, amongst the musicians, it was a very fluid membership of loads of bands, you know. And I'm not unique in that. There's plenty of people who played with loads of different bands, but well, no, I think the gay thing put loads of people off, really.
Well, we're going to cut to another one of your songs. This is a classic, your third #1 single, and this is The Power of Love.
I'll protect you from the hooded claw. Keep the vampires from your door. Feels like fire. I'm so in love with you. Dreams are like angels, they keep bad at bay. Love is the light scaring darkness away. I'm so in love with you. Purge the soul. Make love your goal. The power of love, a force from above, cleaning my soul. Flame on burn desire, love with tongues of fire. Purge the soul and make love your goal. I'll protect you from the hooded claw. Keep the vampires from your door. When the chips are down, I'll be around with my undying, death-defying love for you. Envy will hurt itself. Let yourself be beautiful, sparkling love flowers and pearls and pretty girls. Love is like an energy rushing and rushing inside to me. Yeah. my soul. Flame on, burn desire, love with tongues of fire, purge the soul, make love your goal. This time we go sublime. Love is entwined, divine, divine. Love is danger, love is pleasure. Love is pure, the only treasure. I'm so in love with you, purge the soul. Make love your goal. The power of love, a force from above, cleaning my soul. The power of love, a force from above, a skyscraping dove. Flame on, burn desire, love with tongues of fire, purge the soul, make love your goal.
Welcome back to part 3 and a look at the period of total dominance by Frankie Goes to Hollywood during 1984. Again, within 18 months, Frankie Goes to Hollywood's first 3 singles go to #1 and the album has advanced sales of over 1 million. So, Brian, you've signed to ZTT, a very interesting label because of the people who were in it, journalists and a producer, an ace producer. They seem to get the marketing absolutely spot on. Did that distort any of the vision of what you thought Frankie Goes to Hollywood was about? Were they coming from a different angle to you?
No, we were just making the records. Like the marketing, the marketing was something that started in the 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did the marketing make the band successful? I'm not kind of convinced by that. No. But the people who did the marketing will continue to keep saying it was their genius. Well, if that was the case, why didn't it happen with propaganda? Why didn't that happen with subsequent labels? You know, where was your marketing genius then? The thing that sold the band was, I think, we had rebels. We had the people who wanted to wear the Frankie t-shirt because we were rebels. Once we had number 1 records, we had screaming teenagers as well. And we had a wide target audience, I think. Also, we had loads of gay people. The amount of mail I've had over the years that people have gone, I came out because of Frankie. And, you know, it kind of made it a little bit more acceptable. Yeah. What do you mean you're gay? Well, he's gay, look at him, he's earning millions.
I think people have got to understand the context of the time because that was very unusual to have, you know, this band with the backbeat of the band, the things that are driving the music forward, and then these 2 quite outrageously, gay frontmen. That was quite unique, I think, at the time. in terms of cultivating that image, do you think that added to that raw energy? Because from what I look at it now, it's quite confusing, and yet then, for some reason, it worked.
Would you say that the way they dressed? Well, you've got to remember about Liverpool at that time. You know, Liverpool, before us and long after we've gone, is a city where the people of the city like to dress up. You know, you walk out into town any night, you will see people dressed up. It's just what they're wearing. You know, I remember, you say like outrageously dressed. Not compared to what I used to see in Cagney's every week. You know, people walking around in nappies and stuff, and like, but it was the gay thing that made it seem like it was outrageous. And I never thought about it. You know, and I can see why people would take I couldn't see why people would take offence, but I understand why they did. But
well, whatever that sort of mix was, it certainly worked, and it had a huge impact on youth culture. How aware were you of that immense impact right throughout the nation? Because you couldn't switch on your TV, your radio, every time you opened a newspaper. It was complete dominance. Were you aware that you were actually leading youth culture at the time with the T-shirts and the statements? And
to be honest, you're in the eye of this hurricane, and you don't really... It's only years afterwards when you sit back and go, whew, wow, that was a blast. You know, there's so much going on. You're making a record. Your record's it's in France, you've got to go there, you've got to go to Spain, you've got to go here, we're going to America, you're going to make a film. So you don't really have the time to sit down and think, aren't we doing a fantastic job of promoting youth culture? And these T-shirts are flying out like baked bean tins, you know, it was just, you're just doing it, you know, and you're on the roller coaster, so you're just hanging on, really, and you're not really aware of it. And it's only years and years afterwards, and they say with the advent of social media and people being able to contact you directly. I mean, pre-social media, having your own websites and all that, is that you realise the effect it had on people. Yeah. But no, you're not aware of it at all. You're just going, where's the ale?
In the eye of the storm. I mean, the record company did a few things which I know you spoke to me previously for the book interview about a bit unexpected, like the Two Tribes video wasn't exactly what you'd set out, and the Power of Love video wasn't exactly what you thought about originally. Can you tell us a little bit about those videos?
We loved the Two Tribes video because we didn't have to do anything. Because, you know, I'm sure the people who are in this room with us now and the people upstairs, they know this isn't glamorous, really. It's a job, right? And, like, at the end of the day, doing a video, standing around all day waiting to do your bit is boring. And we weren't in it a lot, so that suits us down to the ground. And the same thing with the Power of Love video. We did a day in a film studio when we were shot from above, and the rest of it was done afterwards. And it was, the Power of Love video was terrible. It was shocking. But, you know, again, they're all right spending money when it's someone else's. We're going to Israel. What, couldn't you have gone to Crosby? You know, or you could have gone to Southport Beach. You know, why have you got to go to? Oh, no, it's got to be authentic. Lol and Kev want it authentic. So was he camping loads of people to Israel? But I remember being in a studio in San Francisco, and Trevor had come over while we were on tour to do some recording, and he brought the video, and we were just laughing. We were going, oh man, that is just so cheesy and corny that it's like sex, war, religion. It was too, and it wasn't. There's no religious overtones to the song at all in the lyric. You know, I sit here and sing that tune. I still don't know what it's about. It's a love song. It's nothing to do with Christmas. It's just happened that it comes out at Christmas, yeah. Christmas time, you know, it's that Christmas time of year, and people associate it with it. But the video was shocking. You know, the worst part of the video, if you look when the angel comes and it goes like that, and because the angel was hanging, you can see like the back of the angel's frocks being held up with a bit of string, and that was the clincher for me. It was like, oh, Jesus.
I mean,
terrible.
Again, in terms of a band, they were the brightest, the loudest firework around for so many years, and I don't think people now, unless you were there in that era, realise that the dominance that you had. But then things started to splinter a little bit. Things started, maybe tensions within the band or tensions with the record company. Again, Paul Morley's recollections were, he said the toxicity of it worked well creatively, commercially for a few months, until we woke up and realised we all hated each other, or certainly that we were very different from each other. What's your view on that?
Oh, no, hate is, no, hate is, it's not hate at all. No. It's not a hate at all. Personally, I would say towards the end, it seemed like Holly wasn't into it. He wasn't keen on the direction of where the music was going. And we were kind of at the inkling that he wanted to do his own thing. We had a meeting with him whilst we were recording the album. We went in to see him, and this was, it wasn't an attack on him. He may have perceived it to be that, but when we went in, it was like, we're losing the leader of our gang here. We don't want that to happen. We want you in, but like, we're getting the vibe that you don't really want to do this. He felt he was being attacked, and like most people, when they feel like they're being attacked, they attack back.
So was it true about the you know, sounding out Simon Le Bon and Pete Wiley?
Yeah.
That was true, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was...
would have been an interesting dynamic.
We were trying to trace Simon Le Bon all over the world, and someone's gone like, you know, because Paul knows them all, and he Paul's like him wherever he wants. We were like, Paul, you've got to find him. So he makes a couple of phone calls, and we tracked him down to some hotel in Paris. He said, what time's it in Paris? And I was, what time's it now? It's 8 o'clock. Oh, wait, well, he's got to go to bed. And we rang him up, and he said, I'm incredibly flattered to have been asked, but I can't. And I would be perfect. He said I would be the perfect singer for Frankie Goes To Hollywood. Unfortunately, they were very fractured themselves at the time. And, you know, they're mates, you know, and he's not going to go. Well, see you, lads. For something that's, you know, kind of unproven, it was a bit of a fanciful thing.
I was going to say, can we have a perfect singer for this song? Because you're going to do another one for us now, which is Acute Tanorexia.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I want it built for comfort, not for speed. A dizzy prom queen's the very last thing I need. And all the mas who bear the scars from squeezing out their pups is more appealing than the sight of Jodie Marsh's tubs. With acute anorexia and a bust like Pamela, and then those shoes with the heels, I'll just keep the real. I couldn't fall in love with polythene Pam. I be picky, I'm not everybody's ideal man. And any man who fakes a tan is simply wasting time. You need an all-over spray job for a crack like mine. With acute anorexia, staring back from the calendar, and although lace does appeal, I'll just keep the real. Yeah, they're all orange girls with blonde popcorn curls. There's no sugar and spice or not anything nice about. Anything nice about cute anorexia, cellulite in your derriere, and if you're broad in the beam, we'll just love the real. Hey.
And welcome back to part 4 of Scouse Pop. In this part of the programme, I'm going to ask about the impact of the split-up on Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Right, going back to that time, Brian, this must be a very difficult time, I suppose, because when the plugs were pulled, you know, you're a young man, what, 26, something like that. You've got
wasn't 26,
wasn't it?
Younger than
that.
Younger than that.
Well, you've got a daughter, 2-year-old daughter, and a baby in arms at the time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, your livelihood's just taken away, just stopped. What happened then? What was?
It was horrible. Well, post the split, you're automatically, with the arrogance of youth, you're thinking, we've sold millions of records, we'll just get another deal. They'd be queuing up round the block. So you're riding that one for about 2 months till you've gone round the block and there's no one queuing at all. So it's like, off you pop. We hadn't made any money from record sales. We didn't recoup our recording costs until 1992, so we didn't make any money from record sales until 5 years after the band split up. So
That's amazing. I mean, Relax is the 6th biggest selling record of all time. Yeah. Only sort of, well, the ones that are in front of it are often charity things. I mean, we're talking about one of the biggest records ever, and you never saw a cent of it.
Well, eventually, the thing, the band split up, had a house, 2 kids, interest rate goes, this is the potted version, interest rate goes mental,
yep,
phone gets cut off, can't get any work, have to sell your house, got to sell your house because you can't pay your mortgage is just gone, because like, I had a pop star's mortgage, you know what I mean? It was 800 quid a month and it went to 1,600.
That's right, doubled overnight. Yeah,
thank you, Mr. Lawson.
That's right.
You got to sell your house, blah, blah, blah. Sold the house 2 weeks before it was due to be repossessed. Ended up with it, paid off what I owed, but I still owed the bank about 30 odd grand. Went back to being an electrician, rented house, housing benefit, milk tokens, very bleak. Yeah. But survived, you know what I mean? It's like what they say, you don't have time to think about it. You got kids, so you're just marching on. And it was only years afterwards when I busted my leg that I hit this period of inactivity where I'm having to sit in the house watching Jeremy Kyle all day. Like, that's not depressing enough. And I started suffering from depression, you know, like bursting into tears for nothing, like, what's up with me? And it goes back to that time. So I go and see a shrink and she's French and a bit cool and she goes, well, yeah, this all relates back to your time. It's an echo of a crisis, blah, blah, blah. But by this time, we're back on top. The greatest hits albums come out and I get a check for like 50 grand, which is like, I got some money, which enabled me at the time to put a down payment on a house. And the property market was absolutely on its backside then. So and that's the house I still live in today.
Considering what you've been through, I mean, it's more than a lot of people could really comprehend. I mean, that's amazing Scouse resilience to come back from that.
Oh, mate, it's not really, you know, it's not, yeah, but it's not a tough time, isn't it? You know, we all know people at that time who had it way worse than me. You know, at least I managed to sell my house. I wasn't the guy having to give the keys back at the estate agent to go see you later and you know, walk away potless. But the best story about that death, this is a belter, and I recommend this. I don't know which camera we're on. I recommend this. You do this. If you owe the bank 400 quid, you got a problem. If you owe them 40 grand, they've got a problem. So I owed them 30 odd grand, and my lawyer said, go back in. He said, next time you get some money from somewhere, so I signed a publishing deal, got 4 grand, and he said, I'll go in and offer them the money. And I'm like, they ain't gonna take that. And he goes, nah, do what they will. He said, there's people going down owing millions and they're just trying to claw back what they can get. So he goes in, he goes, will you take 4 grand? And he go, ha, no, thank you. Put the phone down. And then he goes back here, well, listen, off the record, Mr. Nash's career's finished. He's thinking of emigrating to Australia. I'd get what you can. And they accepted it. And you know when I got the bank statement? Yeah. Christmas Eve, and it's got 29,600. So this is like winning the spot the ball. You know what I mean? It is. It's not like winning the pools, but it is. 25 grand in the spot the ball. Written off. Yeah. Well, and now I'm chasing them for PPI. Bring it on.
No. I just, oh, that's a fabulous story. But but after all of that, I mean, you've come back to music, you're writing songs again, you're releasing albums, and you're going to do one now from Le Grand Fromage, which just, I love the title. Ruby Blue is the song that you're going to do now. Very briefly, can you just tell us?
It was written about a statue that I saw in a pine shop when I was on the bus, and that's what it was, and I've wanted one ever since. Never been able to find one, but I know at least what to Google now. It's a Janssen swimwear model, mannequin about that big, and it's a love song to the Ruby Blue that I never got.
Well, it just remains to me to thank Brian Nash for coming in. Fascinating interview, and he's going to finish off with Ruby Blue.
When I see you, you don't see me. I'm upstairs on the 263, on my way to 69B. Your dress is blue and see-through, and you look more than statuesque on the antique pine 3-drawer desk. And I don't know your name, but that don't mean anything. If I take you home, I could call you Ruby Blue. There's no room in the hallway, Ruby Blue. The bedroom's out of bounds to you too. Does your blood run cold? Your countenance is frozen and your smile goes on forever. On forever. On forever. You'll never know how much it's killing me. And every week your girlfriend's coming on to me. I can't bear it to see you wasted. Doesn't he know you're there? Does he care about you the way I do? I don't think so. I could have saved you, but maybe you'd be broken now. And I don't know your name, but that don't mean anything. If I take you home, I could call you Ruby Blue. There's no room in the hallway, Ruby Blue. The bedroom's out of bounds to you too. Does your blood run cold? Your countenance is frozen and your smile goes on forever. And your smile goes on forever. Ruby Blue. There's no room in the hallway, Ruby Blue. The bedroom's out of bounds to you too. Does your blood run cold? faces frozen with a smile. And what a smile.